Hello and welcome back to Fuck the Mold, where we unpack boxes society tries to put us in. I have with me our guest, Lauren Chalinsky. Lauren, or as she is commonly known, Mermaid Lily Luna. She has been working as a mermaid for the past 8 years, although if you ask her or anyone she grew up with, she's been a mermaid for her whole life. While Lauren works in finance during the week, she switches hats or fins on the weekends to perform at events around Tampa Bay as Mermaid Lily Luna. I'm so excited to have you on here today. I don't know about you guys, but I have never met a mermaid, so I know you're jealous. It's okay.
I've been told I'm a lot of people's first mermaid, so that's I'm glad to be your first.
If that my parents would be so proud. I mean, if that's not something to flip your hair about it. Or flip your fin. Yeah. I gotta get in my puns, you know?
Yeah, we gotta.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably beat me, so. Okay, well, let's get right into it. Let's start at the beginning. How did you become a financial planner and a mermaid?
Well, so I actually became a mermaid first. So I've been doing the mermaid thing for about 8 years now. And that really came from, I used to be a high school teacher, and it was not that fun. Surprisingly, I know. That's most people's dream job, to be a high school math teacher, but it was not mine. And I started seeing pictures of these women on Instagram swimming around in the ocean in tails. And I was like, oh, I wish I could do that.
I
And
don't
then one
think
day
that
it was like,
ever came up on my algorithm.
yeah,
And
well,
I'm really jealous that it didn't.
yeah, well, I mean, I had friends who would send it to me too. It wasn't even coming up on my algorithm. It was just people like, oh, you love mermaids. I was like, oh, I wish I could do that. And it was like, well, if they can, like, why can't I? So I bought a tail and the rest is history.
I love that. Well, and that you had just such a easy time to say, "Oh, if they can do that, I can do that too." Because I don't think a lot of people have that same mentality. You know, with the world today, a lot of people are just like, "Oh no, like that's not what I'm supposed to do." You know, like that's for other people to dream
Yeah.
and have fun. How old were you when you started?
I was 25 or 26-ish,
Okay.
something around there. And I will say it was not like that quick of a flipping the switch of like it took a while. It was like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. It was probably a full year before I was like, well, wait, why can't I do that?
Yeah. I mean, we can't be heroes overnight, you know.
Exactly.
So, how did being a financial planner play into it all?
So, like I said, I used to be a math teacher, so I am very like that kind of like logic brained. So I do love mermaiding, but nobody really wants a mermaid on a Tuesday for whatever reason. The business was not thriving during the week, so I did have to say, well, what's a big girl job that I could have? And finance was just something that's always been interesting to me. So I, got all of my licenses, got all of that stuff going on, and was like, cool, this is another way to like educate people and help people and do something that's interesting to me during the week.
I appreciate that you chose finance and not accounting, because I get so much shade from people when I'm like, oh, accounting is so hard, I don't understand it,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, are you not good at math? I'm like, no, I'm great at math.
Yeah.
It is not math; it is principles.
Yeah, it's so hard. And that's like just side note, I am not an accountant.
No, I
I help
have
with taxes. I don't do taxes.
I have passed all of my math classes with flying colors, and I have failed impressively at all of my accounting classes.
It's so hard. I don't know what they put in the accounting water, but I can't drink it. So.
I think that they're like magicians. Like,
yeah, they really are.
They literally just come up with stuff, and it's like, oh, we're just gonna balance this sheet by abracadabra appreciation. And I'm like, oh,
cool.
okay.
Alchemy. Great. Love that.
Love that. So how long have you been doing financial planning?
So I worked as an assistant in financial planning for about 3 years before I took the leap and said, like, hey, if they can do it, so can I. Sort of same thing, same principles of how come the boys are having all the fun? That's not cool.
We can't allow for that.
Can't allow that. So I jumped in about a year ago. It's kind of fun to have that like duality of being like, okay, I have this very, very like high level professional job half the time. And then the other half, although I feel like I am a business owner for the other half, it is obviously a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more creative, and a little bit more hanging out with 5-year-olds in a pool.
I don't know why I'm picturing like a photo shoot of you with like your tail and like a calculator or something like that. It's like the two lives I live.
Yeah, I'm everybody's favorite financial advisor, obviously. So
I actually don't think I've ever heard anything greater. So.
yeah, I know that's.
is there ever any tension between these two identities for you, or do they seem to coexist pretty peacefully?
I think that there's more tension in my head than there is for like other people seeing that I do both of these things,
Fair.
because I feel like they're just so different. But if you know me at all, it's like those are just two sides of my personality. It works so perfectly. But in my head, I'm like, oh no, like people aren't going to take me seriously, honestly, in either role because of the other role. I get so nervous about that. And in practice, it's like nobody cares. But
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear though, because I definitely get wrapped up in my head too, especially as someone who, when I was in corporate, being in management, I was like, oh no, to get that respect, it was like you had to be kind of like dressed to the nines and you had to like show up, quote unquote, for the job you're pursuing and that you don't have yet. And I think I remember so specifically one meeting I showed up to with an executive in the meeting. And we were with a vendor and I was in a Canadian suit. I had a denim jacket on and jeans, and I think I wore a ball cap that day too. And mind you, this SVP who was in the meeting, he is a full custom suit every day. Like that's the type of guy he is.
Mhm.
And I remember him just like his face looking at me kind of in disgust. And I was like, I actually don't care about your opinion. I care about my vendor's opinion. She came up to me afterwards and she was like, I love how, casual we've gotten in that, everyone can just be who they are and blah, blah. And I was like, thank you so much for saying this, because
Yeah.
I was in my head about wearing a ball cap, at this company that I'm supposed to be a leader in, so it is, sometimes it can be pretty difficult to manage that, but I'm glad to hear that you experience that. It's mostly in your head.
Yeah.
Because that sounds about right for
obviously,
me.
like same with you, right?
Yeah.
It was like it's very much in your head of like, oh no, they look so much more like this or whatever that I am. But at the end of the day, if you can do it, you can do it, and you can do it. So
Yeah.
wear whatever, it doesn't matter.
Also, that meeting got thrown on my calendar. So I was like, the bosses were out, like my boss was out for the week, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna dress casual. And then this meeting got thrown on my calendar, and I was like,
It's always that happens. Like my boss will come in, like he is never in our office or anything like that. Like he runs like the entire Tampa Bay area, so he's never in the Clearwater office. And he only comes in, I swear, on days where I'm like, well, I'm just gonna stop in real fast and then I'm gonna go to the gym.
right. So have you ever felt pressure to pick one lane? It seems like it's mostly in your head, but have you felt that pressure at any point?
Yeah, I have. Honestly, I think mostly from like my parents. That's been a very big like, oh, like how long are you really going to do this whole mermaid thing? You really need to have something that's more sustainable. But honestly, I think that I can do both forever.
I love that.
And they really don't get in each other's way too much.
Have you ever experienced judgment or surprise from people when they initially find out that you have these two lives?
Definitely. And I think it kind of depends on which way people know me first.
Totally fair.
But I think I hope it's not so much judgment, but definitely surprise on either of those. So like I will sometimes, be in a meeting with a client or something like that, and we're talking about our weekends and everything. Oh, what are you doing this weekend? Like, oh, I have a mermaid party. And they're like, I'm so sorry, what? What does that mean? Like, what are you? And it's always exciting. And I always say I have to lead with financial advisor, because once I say something about mermaid, that's all anybody cares about.
Yeah.
Which totally understandable.
Yeah, that happened to me. I was like starstruck. I was like, oh my god, I had no idea I was out to coffee with a celebrity.
A celebrity.
See, I won't beat you. No, when we were out to coffee, it was like some sentence in passing you said, oh, and I'm a mermaid, or maybe it was when I looked at your social media and I was like, full stop. We are exclusively talking about mermaid stuff now.
Oh yeah, because it's way more fun, to be fair. Like, and I get that. And I feel that too.
Do you ever feel like everyone like hypes it up so much and then you go home and you're like in your pajamas or something eating ice cream and you're just like, I'm still this, like
this is it. Yeah. Honestly, I still get so hyped up about being a mermaid that it's totally fine for me on that. I think it's funny too on like the opposite spectrum of like I'll be, on somebody's like bathroom floor getting ready to go out and like be in their pool. They come and they're like, do you do this like all the time? I'm like, oh no, I'm actually a financial advisor like in my normal life. And they're like, what?
I'm telling you, this photo shoot with the tail and the calculator is really just going to be marketing wonders.
Yeah.
I'm also just trying to picture them being like, oh, do you do this full time? And you're like, no, like, do you need help planning? Like,
Have you been thinking about retirement lately? Do your kids have
I was
529
like,
plans already, or what's going on
it's
here?
never too early to start planning for your I mean, honestly, the markets are really crossing over now that I think about it.
I know. Well, honestly, I keep saying, I'm like, I'm going to start like a YouTube channel one day of like financial advising. And I'm just going to be like, so this is what a Roth IRA is while I'm like wearing my tail.
I'm obsessed, absolutely obsessed with it. I can't imagine anything better to watch on any given day.
I think it would be pretty fun. I think it's a great way to get that education out there, you know? You got to
Yeah.
really have a little hook. And
Well, I was gonna say, do you know how much time I spend racking my brain about like what even is a hook anyway? Like how as much as you see videos on like how to grow on social media and everyone's like, you gotta have a hook. And I'm like, I'll watch videos and I see a quote unquote hook and I'm like, was that even a hook? Like they just started talking. And then I'm like, when I do that, y'all hate me. I'm in 200 view jail. But you go on your video and you're in a tail and it's like, oh, whoa, hook. I'm hooked. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a fish hook, so.
Do you want me to go now? I actually don't feel worthy to be in the present.
Again, I've had 8 years to think of all of these puns. I have a lot of them.
Do you use shells as sponges?
I do use them as shot glasses sometimes.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Got to be sustainable.
That's clam first, shot second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or both together. You never know.
Yeah, oyster shooters. We got it.
Have you had that?
Oh, yeah. They're great.
What is the preferred alcohol with?
I think it's vodka, right?
I feel like that would be.
I like the ones that it's like Bloody Mary. Like they'll do like a Bloody Mary mix and put a little oyster in there.
This is a hot take. I'd like to preface this. I don't believe that people who drink tomato juice for fun should have rights.
Actually, I do agree with that. I am not a Bloody Mary girl. I will allow it in the oyster shooter because I'm like, well, at that point, it's a condiment.
Right. Okay.
If you drink a condiment, we have problems here.
Yeah. Okay. I feel seen.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
Very good. How do you handle the image or expectations that come with being an entertainer, especially being in a very feminine space and a very fantasy-based space?
It's honestly a little tough sometimes, I will say, because my target audience for when I'm being a mermaid is kids. It's very fantasy. It's very, let's make your dreams come true. And I think that that's what really got me into it, obviously, was like, this is so cool. Like, I wish I had this growing up. Like, I want to be that person for the little kids that, you know, like, I wish I had that. That would be amazing. Which also, I did have that. I lied. Mermaid Brooke at Wiki Watchy. I still have that picture from when I was 3 years old. You changed my life.
Yeah. I think I only had like a mermaid themed party, but I loved them, you know, but having an actual mermaid and being like, oh, like really putting those dreams to that vision to life, I'm sure is just life changing.
Yeah, it's really cool. But you know, when I started working in the St. Pete area, I worked at some of the resorts in the area, and it kind of was a little bit more like adult clientele. And well, you know, men ruin everything. So it was a little bit difficult being in that space because I was like, I am here to create magic for children. And it quickly got to being a little bit more sexualized than I was comfortable with. So I really had to learn how to like create some boundaries for myself of being entertaining without compromising.
Yeah.
Like, this is supposed to be fun and I'm not having fun if you're going to make it like this. You know, coming over and making comments and things like that. And, you know, everybody gets one of, all right, do your thing. I get it. But remember at the end of the day that I have a huge tail on and I will splash you and it will not be fun and it will be very embarrassing for whatever girls you're trying to impress around you when you get splashed by a mermaid.
I will waterboard you with my tail.
Yeah, like casually. Just you get one warning.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're nicer than me. I'm not a warning queen. I think it's just too much. You know, as we said, you know, men ruin everything. It's like I've had one too many experiences out in the wild with them, and you've all gotten your one from me. You know, I've grown wiser. So.
I'm just saying, you get one warning as a mermaid, and I go siren real fast. You are going to get dragged down.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Now wait, you have different tails, right?
I do.
Okay, how many tails do you have?
I have 2 silicone ones. So those are like the movie grade, think splash, like professional ones. Those are custom made like for me. And then I do have a few like fabric tails, and those are fun because then, you know, that's when I get to come over and like play mermaids or something. Sometime we'll just.
So what are the colors we're working with?
So my main one that I use for parties, I call it Aurora. Kind of like Sleeping Beauty. Remember her dress that changed from pink to blue?
Oh, yep.
The scales are actually dyed from the inside pink and blue, so they kind of change like those colors, and they can't get scuffed or anything because they're not painted from the outside.
Oh my gosh, the engineering on this.
Yeah,
I'm
oh my
so
gosh.
impressed.
Yes, shout out Erin at Nation. She's a genius. She
Nation.
Nation.
What is with the mermaids and
Yeah.
their fun play on words?
I know, yeah.
I didn't realize you guys were so high up in the game.
Oh yeah. And then I have a blue one, I have an orange one, and I have a silver one. Just for like, it's the fabric ones. I usually let like my friends and stuff play in those because they're not as aggressive, and they're not like custom made for me. They're more like a small, a medium, large, something like that.
I'm picturing like the orange one is like your siren tail. Like,
and I feel that, yeah.
Do they hold water? Like if you're in the water and get out, is it super heavy? Like,
I do have to always warn my volunteers. I always have very nice volunteers at parties to help me get, in and out of the pool. So they'll carry me because I can't walk in the full silicone tail. I'm like, well, bummer, sorry. But the silicone tail itself is like 35 pounds. So you're carrying me plus 35 pounds that are on my ankles. Like, it's a very weird weight distribution. I'm always like, hey, I know that was probably hard for you. FYI, it's going to get harder because this thing holds like 2 gallons of water.
Oh my God.
So we're going to add like an extra 15, 20 pounds when I get out of the water.
Oh my God. And you're 5'11" or
5'9".
Oh,
yeah.
You seem so much taller.
Thank you.
You give 5'11" energy.
Thank you so much. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
People tell me I give 5'10" energy. I'm also 5'9", but I'm like,
yeah,
I
thought
seem
you were
like you give
than that. Yeah.
You seem like you give an extra inch than me. So
thank you.
But like a tall girl with a water weighted tail.
It's a workout. They don't have to go to the gym for the rest of the day. Like, I tell them, you're done. You did it.
I would assume the volunteers are adults.
Yes.
I'm trying to picture you explaining this to kids, and you're like, I'm gonna get dropped today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have thankfully, like, knock on wood, never gotten dropped. I'm always afraid of it.
Yeah. I can imagine.
What are you gonna do? Like, I can't catch myself. You drop me, I'm kind of like,
Is a majority of your show in the water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically I'll get somewhere, I get changed, in like a bathroom, garage, something like that, somewhere that can get wet, because mermaids are a little water based. And somebody will come in, pick me up, bring me to the pool, place me there. I always say like, oh, they drop me in. I'm like, they don't do that. That would be so mean. And then I get to swim around. We do mermaid makeovers, which is just glitter. It doesn't come off in the water or ever.
Oh,
so it's great.
Sounds like my nightmare.
And we do mermaid back rides, and we play games, and we tell stories, and it's so much fun.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. So I'm just gonna book her for mine expert.
I was gonna say, like, all right, cool. Like,
I book you, and I've got like a kiddie pool in the back because I don't have a pool.
It'll be perfect. Just like 6 inches of water.
God, I actually had friends do that to me in college. They were like, come over, we're chilling by the pool, we're day drinking, I show up, it's a kiddie pool. I said, how dare you do this to me? Did I get in? Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, and I bet it was so much fun too.
It was. Well, when you're inebriated, it's
always going to be a good time. Yeah.
What are some of the etiquettes that you expect from your spectators when you're performing?
Something that I don't think people think about too much, but it's such an expectation in my mind, is, especially around kids, I am a mermaid. I am a real mermaid. So a lot of people like ask me questions, like, oh, so what do you do during the week? And it's like, I'm a mermaid all the time. What do you mean? I live in Atlantica during the week, obviously. Oh, how much was that tail? I'm like, I was born with this tail. They'll ask the adult questions and I totally get it. It's like, how often do you see a mermaid? You want to know all of the things, but especially when kids are around, just save them.
Yeah. Shoot me an email.
Exactly. It's like, DM me on Instagram. That's fine. You can send me an under the sea mail on my website. I know. Anything else, or even, after, or sneak away kind of thing of like, hey, I just got a quick question about this. But one etiquette is that of like, when you see me around kids, I am a real mermaid. Mermaid Lily Luna lives in Atlantica, and she does not know human stuff. So
yeah. Well, and like you're saying, my job is to create magic. So all of that magic is hinged on the entire immersive experience.
Exactly. Oh, look at you.
Thank you.
Immersive.
She's like sitting here like,
she's like, I'm ready.
Did I do good?
You did absolutely fantastic.
We don't deserve her. What is something that you think people misunderstand about creative professionals?
That we aren't just as professional as somebody else. The world needs mermaids just as much as they need financial advisors. And I think that just like realizing that, it takes a lot of brain power to do something creative. Like, obviously, you have, kind of a similar situation of like you have a creative outlet, you have more of a professional outlet. And I would almost argue like our creative outlets probably take up like more
Yeah.
more brain power
Yeah.
than the professional ones do.
Yeah, well, and it's because creativity involves so much curiosity and so much of logistics. It's kind of like formulaic all the time, so it's kind of like you get in a pattern and you're able to solve problems a lot more consistently because of that like formula. And when you're creative, it's like, oh, like I just need to create something from nothing, and like talking about creating that
Yeah.
experience for every party is going to be different. All the kids are going to be different. They're going to ask different questions,
Mhm.
and that experience is going to be different. You're trying to tailor it to them.
She's on it. I mean, okay,
I'm
the
working
student
it.
has become the master. I'm done.
I'm like waiting for my comedy site.
Oh my gosh, she was a guppy, and now
Spread my tail. That was bad. I would disown me too. It's fine.
no, I'm keeping you. This is great.
All of that is like I struggle a lot to tap into that creative side. So I absolutely feel that people need to understand that type of respect is it's
Yeah.
it's same
And it's so tiring too. I mean,
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
my husband knows, like I am way more exhausted after 1 hour of working as a mermaid than I am 8 hours, regular work during the week of sending emails and stuff like that.
I think a lot of people severely underestimate the power and the value of good interpersonal skills or
Mhm.
customer service, and that does take up so much energy because
Yeah.
every person is different. And I've worked in corporate America where people prioritize, oh well, they do their job well. I'm like, but do they create an experience? Do they read social cues well? That is super important. It really is a superpower, and I think so many people underestimate that, especially in your line of work.
Yeah, I mean, customer service workers, they're they're the real MVPs.
Yeah,
Whew,
I see videos online and I'm like, all of y'all are better than me.
better than me.
Yep.
Whew.
I'm gonna sit my ass at home because
Mhm.
I shouldn't be out, like I should only be allowed on the weekends or something like that because I just you shouldn't trust me.
Can't be loud in public.
What does a mermaid represent to you beyond performance?
Being a mermaid is just, it's freedom for me. It's very magic. It is being that, like, the person that you want to be in your head in real life. It's such a great way too to really like connect to your inner child. Before you knew what society expected of you, what did you really love? What did you really want? And I was like, I loved the ocean. I still love the ocean. I loved the idea of not necessarily having to live in like this certain place in a certain house with like my things organized this way and blah blah blah. I was like, I want to be in a clam bra and I want thingamabobs. That's what I want. And I still do.
The dream never died.
Yeah, the dream has not died at all.
And it never will.
Yeah, my parents are very proud that I have not changed career goals since the age of 3.
When you're performing, do you kind of go like black almost? For me, if I'm doing something that's new or exhilarating or creative, I feel like if I'm playing the guitar or something like that, I'm like, I just go numb or blank. And that to me, that bliss is really something that I seek out often because my brain runs rampant. So does that create that space for you?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I joke a lot of the time that, people are like, how do you not break character? Like, you never break character. And I'm like, because I am Mermaid Lily Luna. This isn't like a it's just basically an alter ego. It's me with a tail on. It's not a
Yeah.
different person by any means. So yeah, it is almost like a rhythmic sort of thing of, oh, cool, I get to just tell my stories. I just get to be myself. I get to hang out in my like most authentic form, which happens to be a mythical creature.
And like you were saying earlier, when people kind of find that out, a lot of times they're not that surprised, that you're like, oh, if they've known me, it makes sense. And so that does feel like it's like, oh, I'm getting to actually just play out this really genuine part of myself.
People who, again, like that I grew up with and everything, when I'm like, oh yeah, I work professionally as a mermaid, they're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracks. That's not weird. Like, it was weird that you were a teacher. That was wild. But like, never saw that one coming. Mermaid, Absolutely. Could have seen that from a mile away.
And we just do such a good job of killing the dreams of like the 3-year-olds.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my God, like right now is the perfect time to be a dreamer because soon enough we're gonna kill that dream.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Do it now,
why do we?
because
Yeah, like you can't do that forever. But why? Like,
yeah, why not?
Why
If
is
there's a
that?
need for it,
Yeah.
why can't you do that forever?
Yeah, and it's so funny because we talk about just having fun in life, and we watch kids have fun all the time, and that
Hmm.
again, that bliss is just kind of like, how do we do that as adults? And it's like, did anything change? Like I would assume we still get that same bliss
Yeah.
from the same things. We never grew up out of it, unless somebody was like berating you for it or making fun of you, and
Hmm.
that's kind of the world that we've created is, oh no, you can't do that forever. It's like, watch me.
Yeah, why not? If there's a reason that I can't do this forever, please tell me.
Yeah,
But
we'll be waiting.
yeah, I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting my tail.
Where do you see your journey going from here?
I don't see myself not being Mermaid Lily Luna ever. I'm sure that there's going to be some point when I, finally grow up. And by that I mean my joints grow
Yeah.
up. That I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to be swimming around because, girl, it's a workout. Like
I'm sure.
it is like just on an ab roller for an hour,
Yeah.
basically.
Anyone who's invited to the party, just assume that that's your workout for the day.
Yeah, that is absolutely.
You might be a volunteer.
Yeah,
You might be
everybody involved. It's a
jumping in.
workout. So I'm sure that there's going to be a point where maybe I'm not really jazzed to do it as much, but I don't really see that happening anytime soon. So
Love that.
hopefully for now, I can just keep inspiring other people to sort of pick up a tail and do it themselves. And I love this industry. I think it's really cool. I think it's something that a lot of people could do if they really wanted to. And I super encourage anybody who is interested in being a mermaid to try being a mermaid.
I'm not trying. But I want
I mean,
to
you're
be.
going to. Though.
Yeah. I need to. Yeah. I mean, more so not professionally. Honestly, I feel like I'm too mean. I'm not whimsical enough.
Jenna the Siren.
Yeah. Hire me as a siren. There we go.
I love that.
I'll brand myself that way. It's like that restaurant where they're mean to you,
Exactly. Like that would be perfect. Like,
yeah, but
right.
kids' parties are probably not for me. So
yeah,
I'll do corporate parties.
Yeah, you could do the corporate events, the older parties.
Oh yeah,
like that,
and I'll have like how they do in the bars where they slap you after you take a drink. I'll have like a shell or something, and I'll just like whack.
Honestly,
this is really coming to fruition.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, we have a new business plan. I love this.
I'm going and writing it with ChatGPT after this.
Yeah, never mind. That's actually the future of Mermaid Lily Luna Inc.
I'll be the first employee.
Yeah, this is gonna be amazing.
And I have an alter ego of a siren.
This is great. Yeah, I'm ready for this.
So this is my last question. I always ask people for advice as my last question. What advice would you give to someone who feels that they're super multi-passionate and they're not exactly sure how to pursue which direction to go?
I think that being multi-passionate is something that all of us really are at the end of the day. Like, I don't know anybody who is just like, nope, I do this one thing and that's the only thing I like. That's the only thing I care about. I eat, breathe, sleep, dream this thing. But for some reason, like, I think society kind of points us in that direction to like, no. If you're good at something, that should be your thing and that should be the only thing that you care about. Just focus on that. But I think just like leaning into being who you are naturally is going to like allow for that kind of passion to come through. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of innovating. I am a terrible inventor, but I am a great innovator. The internet is vast. I am sure somebody has done, if not exactly what you want to do, something similar to what you want to do. And fake it till you make it. Just copy them. Like if they can do it, I can do it.
I think we severely underestimate how much mentorship you can get and like free resources from the internet, if you want to pursue something or learn something new. I also think that there's this rhetoric around the things that you do, you have to be good at. Like if I just bought a tail and I had my kiddie pool and I just went out there and I just had a blast in my backyard.
Yeah.
There's no need for me to be amazing at it. Am I having fun? That's the important part, So I think that there's a lot of that because I'm a hobby chaser. I don't play the guitar. I am trying to learn. But when you tell people, it's like, oh, I'm learning how to play the guitar. It's, oh, are you any good? It's like, I know 3 songs, not all the way through and not well, but like,
but it's fun to do, and
I think super fun.
It's also there's such a like pressure to monetize anything that's interesting to you of like,
I feel personally
you're learning
attacked.
guitar, like, well, why? Like, are you going to be in a band? Like, are you going to, how are you going to do something? And although I do work, professionally as a mermaid, I know a lot of people who do that as a hobby. It's fun for them. It's like going to like a Ren fair, you know? It's just fun. It's playing dress up like
Yeah. You're like, I'd do it if I didn't get paid.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a huge pressure to monetize for sure. And I feel that too. When you showcase yourself to other people and people are asking, like, what's your hobbies or what's your interests? Oh, what are you going to do with that? And it's like, just have
Yeah,
fun.
maybe I'll just enjoy myself.
Yeah.
How about that?
God forbid a girl have hobbies.
God forbid.
Pursue whatever's speaking to you. I am actually a huge proponent that people do know what interests them. I think that there's a big conversation around, I don't know what I want to do. And I think that people, they don't know how to monetize it because they're like, oh no, I can't do this professionally. Like, I can't monetize this. And first and foremost, I would say there's always an innovative way to monetize.
Yeah.
But furthermore, the conversation should be, do we need to monetize it? Like, can I just do this thing and can I just share it with the world? Maybe it's just a hobby. That's okay.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
But I love the quote that's like, everybody needs three things in their life: something that makes you money, something to stay creative, and something to keep you healthy. And it's cool when you can, put some of those things together. But at the end of the day, those can be three separate things.
Yeah.
You can have a regular, normal job that hopefully you like, because that would, we don't want you to do anything that you don't like, but regular, normal job, something to keep you creative, like playing guitar or being a mermaid, and something to keep you healthy, like, running or being a mermaid. It's also being a mermaid is all three for me, TBH, but
Love. I've never heard that quote before, but I think that's beautiful. And I think that that helps put it in perspective because sometimes it can seem, when people are, quote unquote, searching for happiness, it can seem so daunting. And you're just like, oh my God, there's so many different directions. And if you're multi passionate, it's like, oh, how do I do all these things in one day? And it's like, just do something that, like, these three things, that helps to simplify it a bit for us.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I know people say life is short, but honestly, it's the longest thing we ever do. You have time. You can do more than one thing.
Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on. I literally had such a blast. I'm going to go buy a tail later today. But a tail in a kiddie pool.
That'll be a great time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come over.
Well, because then I don't have to push myself up as high and I don't need a whole crew. I'll crawl to.
We'll recreate, the part of your world scene. I'm just gonna like cannonball into the kiddie pool behind you. So there's a whole wave coming up.
The imagery I'm getting is perfection.
Honestly, that would be so much fun though.
I'm loving all of this. But thank you so much for coming on. I had such a blast.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was such a good time.
I'm so excited for all of our future mermaid endeavors. And thank you guys for listening and watching. And I will see you guys next week.